Judy forgot to do this week.
Did I forget one?
Yeah,
Give it to me.
it's just the minutes.
All right.
The meeting will come to order. Let the roll call show that all board members are present. The first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Use your mics.
Motion passes. We will next proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Hartman, will you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for January 12th, 2022 business meeting, the January 14th, 2022 special board meeting, the January 18th, 2022 special board meeting, the January 20th, 2022 special board meeting, and the January 26th, 2022 work study session.
Thank you, Krista. The minutes were lovely. Appreciate your flexibility in getting this done, and I move that we approve the minutes.
I second. We have the motion and the second. All those in favor of approving the multiple minutes that we have here, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We will proceed with informational reports, starting with a summary of current events from Dr. Sweeney.
Madam President, members of the governing board, yes, I just have a couple of comments this evening. First off, I want you to be aware that Principals Kevin Wilkinson and Jeffrey Markle will be representing the district at the NAU Teacher Fair next Friday in Flagstaff. And I want to thank them in advance for taking this on, and I want to thank Alex Means for making the arrangements for all that to happen. And then I need to thank our one and only Krista Andre for her work, and she's put together, or is still putting together, some nice portfolio handouts and materials, not just about the district, but about the town. And you know, what makes this an attractive place for teacher candidates to come. And they will have those available when they're in attendance there to hand those out to would-be recruits. The other thing I want to mention is today my intent was to walk around all the campuses, and I underestimated the early release schedule, as in I didn't really pay attention that was happening. So I got to the middle school and got through most, though not every classroom. And what I saw there, you know, really made me feel good about what it is we do. Teachers were teaching, kids were engaged in what they're doing. Most kids appeared to be happy and enthusiastic about what they're doing. And, you know, there was just a wide variety of things going on. And every class I went into, there was good stuff going on. And this was about 1:30 in the afternoon. Also want to mention that had the opportunity today to meet with both middle school band director Greg Caruso and high school band director Michael Fox, and I could not be more impressed with those two gentlemen. You know, we're in the process of rebuilding the band program, and my experience has been that it is so personality driven by the people who are leading those programs, and those two both are, you know, they're positive, they're enthusiastic, they're long range thinking about what they're going to do, working together to build those programs. So I just want to publicly say to any parents here that if your students have been in band and are no longer in band, think about getting back in there next year. And if they've never been engaged in band at any of the grade levels, I think it's a good time to get back in, because I really think they're going to build a good program there. And I want to thank all the teachers and students for those good things I was seeing out there today. It's not easy, it takes effort, and everybody was giving it, but I appreciate that. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Next, we have governing board reports. We'll start with you, Mr. Sarr.
Nothing.
Mrs. Reed?
I have nothing.
Mrs. Rutkowski?
I at least read the whole packet and all the minutes.
I think we all did, but yes. Dr. Barnard?
Our basketball teams will be making the playoffs. Yay, they've secured seats, and we will be hosting the playoffs next weekend. And it's an opportunity for us to raise money for our school and also for local businesses in town, because there'll be a lot of people in town. So go Falcons, and go all the staff who's helping bring those playoffs here. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you. And I don't have a report either, so that'll close that section of informational reports. In our board packet, we do have site council minutes on pages 35 through 39. Student activity and auxiliary accounts are pages 40 through 47. The unaudited financial report is 48 through 49. And then current enrollment and withdrawal information can be found on pages 50 through 52. Any questions or comments regarding any of those reports? Doesn't look like it, so we will now move on to public comment. Krista, do you have any public comment here this evening? Thank you very much. Mrs. Rutkowski, will you please read the public comment notice?
Call to the public. This is the time for the public to comment. Time limits may be allocated on public comment at the discretion of the board president for the board to efficiently complete its business. The board reserves the right to prohibit any comments made in a discourteous or threatening manner. Complaints about specific individuals, students, or personnel are discouraged. Personnel issues should be directed to the appropriate staff member or administrator per district policy. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431, period 01, capital H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date.
Thank you. We do have one public comment this evening, and it is from Madison Lee. Will you please step forward? I think you know the drill, but just so it's on record for everybody, your time limit is 3 minutes, and I will give you a warning at 30 seconds.
Thank you. Hi, do I need to turn the phone?
Yes.
How do I do this? Okay. No, you're okay. I got it.
I'm gonna teach you.
First, I wanted to thank you guys for putting the teachers' concerns as an agenda item. I thought that segment was very informative and important for everyone to hear, so I think that was really appreciated. I think it was as eye-opening for you guys as it was for us, for the parents. Jill said teachers need to speak up, and I completely agree with that. Although not too long ago, I became aware that teachers actually signed a non-disclosure agreement upon employment, and that was a little concerning to me, so I wanted to bring that up in my comments today. I'm unsure what the teachers in public education would be doing or dealing with that qualifies for a contract of silence. That's a little strange. I'm sure this affects the teachers' confidence in coming forward with any concerns. We do need teachers to speak up, so we should remove any restrictions of access to public information about the school operations so that they can feel comfortable doing so. I'm sure you wonder why I speak up at every meeting, and that's exactly, it's for that purpose. I want to make sure that the concerns that we as parents have are heard publicly and hopefully addressed. I get 3 minutes at each meeting, and I'm grateful. One thing I found out during that open dialogue with TJ was the teachers were told to contract trace the students in the classrooms. Not only is that inappropriate, but it's a ridiculous and overbearing task to assign teachers. I also received some confirmation on my concerns about PBIS. Not only does it seem like the program isn't going to have the desired outcome, it appears to add a decent checklist to the teacher's daily task load. There are so many problems with this. We're expecting teachers to do everything but focus on academic curriculum. Schools shouldn't be about politics or social issues. It's an institution of information. Implementing these programs that look good on paper but don't work in execution only end up adversely affecting the atmosphere, which I think we kind of see. Wendy mentioned that a lot of schools were dropping grants due to the requirements tied to the money. I think that's probably the best route. I've been taking an online American government class and learned how a lot of policy manipulation comes in the form of grants and free money, but a long list of requirements, which you guys actually touched on in the discussion with TJ. Again, I'm grateful for the opportunity to hear from the teachers and to have the opportunity to speak to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we just clarify? couple
Yeah.
misconceptions. Can we clarify about the non-disclosure?
I am not aware of there being a non-disclosure agreement that teachers sign. I will double check that though.
I've actually asked that of Human Resources and our superintendent, and there are no non-disclosure agreements for teachers. And I've actually read the contract, and there's nothing in the contract that states that they have a non-disclosure and can't speak on their own behalf. The only thing it says is that they are expected to have professional behavior.
Okay.
And can we also clarify about the stipends for PBIS? Since that was touched upon also.
This, as a procedural thing, since these items are not on the agenda, I don't think we're supposed to be covering.
But
You can answer factual information.
Because what happens is a lot of times it gets put on the record as fact, and we just want to make sure that in the case that we know what the real fact is, as opposed to hearsay, we should correct the record.
So on the issue of PBIS, in talking with principals last week and conversation with TJ yesterday and Val Reichler today, we're going to get the teams, the team of district leaders involved, and then there's about 3 at each site together here next week to talk about what some of those issues are and how we can better implement that. Teachers are receiving this year a $3,000 addendum specific for their work with PBIS. And so it is an additional thing, but it's an additional thing for which they're being compensated pretty well. So that's something that we'll discuss at our meeting next week as well.
Thank you, Dr. Sweeney. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have accounts payable vouchers on pages 54 through 69. Payroll vouchers are 70 through 75. The personnel action report is on page 76. We have FHUSD club approval for the barbecue league / culinary club on page 77 through 79, and that is what comprises the consent agenda. Any discussion? I don't see any, so I will go ahead and move that we approve the consent agenda.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda passes, and we now move to action items. We have 3 this evening, beginning with the first, which is a resolution to withdraw from Valley Schools Benefit Group Health Insurance Provider. Dr. Sweeney, do you have some background for us on this?
Yes, Madam President, members of the governing board and guests, this first action item is requesting approval of a resolution to withdraw from the Valley Schools Benefits Group. Such a resolution is required per the terms of the agreement that we are in with them, which we've been in since 2009. As a little bit of background, the Benefits Committee, which was chaired by Coordinator of Human Resources, Alex Means, and was comprised of certified teachers Jill Cooper, Bruce Gerstad, Rika Perkins, Evelyn Wynn, and Jason Zachrow, as well as support members Jody Luft and Krista Andre, spent several meetings over several weeks comparing plans available through what Valley Schools was offering and what Kairos was offering. They developed a unanimous recommendation that we make the move to Kairos, and that recommendation was based primarily on the cost to employees and the greater access to local medical providers. I did have the opportunity to join in their last meeting on Wednesday, January 26th, and I can confirm that that recommendation was unanimous and enthusiastic that we go in this direction. In your board packets, you can see some of the details related to what employee costs look like under the Kairos package. There are significant savings for employees at really all levels. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have, but I do recommend approval of a simple resolution to withdraw from Valley Schools Benefit Group.
I'll just comment that I'm, happy on multiple levels. Like, it's always great when we can find ways to save the district money, and doing so doesn't cause any kind of reduction in services or benefits or, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we're not reducing what people are receiving from that money savings, right? So that's wonderful, because then when we save that money, we can put that money in other places. where we likely really need it. I also really appreciate the, coming together of individual staff members across different areas to represent kind of the stakeholders in the staff community, so to speak, to really review and analyze, because they're the ones who are getting the insurance benefit. And so we want to make sure that they have good quality health care, that they have providers that are local and convenient for them, and that they're not paying a lot of money out of pocket or extra beyond what the district can cover. Any additional? Go ahead.
I agree with that. One of my main concerns and reasons that I joined the board was I always wanted to make sure that our teachers received the best that Fountain Hills could offer. We're obviously not one of the higher paying districts, and so healthcare has always been a benefit that I've held fast to. That, over the years we've talked about, could we have employees pay more, and mine was always a very adamant no. So I'm always happy to see the employees save money. My only question is, I noticed that that with the other plan that it said that there were very few doctors in Fountain Hills. I'm assuming that you've been able to look at a list of doctors and see if there's more that are local here for the employees. Is that correct?
I have not looked at that list, but Krista, you were part of that group, if you would like to respond.
It was a much broader scope of practitioners that we could choose from. I never had a problem finding a doctor in Fountain Hills. The problem I found was with the services that were available through the provider. So even though I could use a doctor here, I was forced to pay a lot more for my services, if not for all of my services, because it wasn't covered by the provider, not United Healthcare, but the provider. Kairos is still United Healthcare. It's just their service, they offer more, they have a broader range of services that are available for us.
Okay. And if it was unanimous amongst
Yeah.
the group, then I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, that is.
Great. I will go ahead and move that we pass the resolution to withdraw from Valley Schools Benefit Group Health Insurance as our health insurance provider.
Second.
Oh, go ahead, Jill, second.
We have the motion and the second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Next, we have approval of board-appointed advisory committee to consider consolidation of sites. As most people, certainly on the board, and many people who are in our audience and our repeat audience members know, we've had some discussions over the past several months actually regarding facilities use in the district, potentially consolidating sites. We would like to dig deeper into that topic in a way that involves multiple stakeholders in the school community and the community at large, and in a way that is not really conducive to how we as a board on the dais work. So we are looking to appoint an official committee that can look into details further and report back to the board, findings, opinions, recommendations, etc. Dr. Sweeney, do you have anything to add to that?
Just a couple of details. This is, as you stated, a follow-up to our board study session that took place on the 26th. And there is governing board policy, BDF advisory committees. And this proposed action here tonight is consistent with that policy. And I recommend that you authorize me to create a facilities use committee to act as an independent advisory committee to the governing board. Also consistent with policy BDF is the governing board president, Nadia Jenkins. It can develop guidelines for this committee, and it's my recommendation that the committee follow those guidelines that I know you put a lot of time, effort, and work into developing. So both of those things are consistent with what is in policy BDF, and that's my recommendation for moving forward.
Thank you. I know the board was provided the guidelines that I had drafted for this facilities use committee. Any questions or comments regarding those?
I have one. On the termination in section 4, it says the FHUSD, it says upon the completion of the FHUSD 2021 to 2023 fiscal year, but then it says June 20th of 2022.
Okay.
So
We will have
we just
to-
need to
Yeah,
correct that.
thank you for catching that typo. Yes, Mr. Sar.
This is a board-appointed committee, is that right? So they're gonna have to abide by the open meeting law,
Correct.
just so everybody knows that.
Yes, and that, thank you for saying it on the record. It is listed in our board policy, and it is denoted in that board policy that the superintendent will have to review with them the requirements of open meeting law to ensure that they understand and adhere to those practices.
I'll add for the audience that those meetings will be publicized in advance. They will be open to the public. I think we'll probably hold them right here in the horseshoe table when we get up and running.
Although I will say that I would be open to the committee looking to use school sites for meetings if that helps us get, the point of having this committee in addition to having a separate offshoot committee that can dig into this more deeply and then report back to the board is also to provide more availability to the public of this topic being discussed in public. And I think that maybe having some meetings at some of the school sites might be more conducive to getting different audience, participation / observation.
That is a good point. That's not considered, and we will do that.
Any more discussion on this item?
I just want to say this is very comprehensive and great. I'm really impressed that you did this. I thought it came from some official source.
It was a separate.
You are the official source. It looks great. And I love that we're making sure that we have people from all different, representing all different parts of our school. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Definitely. Great, do we have a motion?
I move that the governing board gives the superintendent authorization to create a committee for the site consolidation.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And our last action item on the agenda, as I get back to my agenda page, is resignation of certified staff member Jason Zachrow. Dr. Sweetie, do you have any background for us on this one?
I do recommend approval of his resignation, and of note, it is for the end of the school year. He has every intention of working out his contract to the best of his ability, and if you have any questions, then beyond that, I'm happy to answer them if I can.
We appreciate the ample notice so that we can look to fill the position.
It is a hard to fill position, and that was part of the reason why I was glad that he was willing to do this now, so we can post it and get looking for someone to fill that spot.
Absolutely. Any other
I
comments?
was sad that he was resigning.
Well, yes. Agreed. All right, with that, I will go ahead and move that we approve the resignation of Jason Zachrow, teacher at the high school.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the resignation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, future action, if you have anything that you'd like to see on a future governing board agenda, please reach out to Krista. Dates of the upcoming meetings, we have our next work study session at 5 p.m. here, Wednesday, February 23rd, and following that, we have a regular business meeting on Wednesday, March 9th at 6:30 p.m. And with the end of the agenda, I will go ahead and move that we adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned.
Short and sweet, the way we like it.
Yes.
I need a ride.
Yes. Do you?
And we'll see you all in a couple weeks.
All right, sounds good.
Oh, no.